Hi, I'm Elizabeth, and today I'll be taking you on a journey through my CMN4185 Political Economy of the Media Autoethnographic study. Before I dive into my research, let me set the background and let me tell you a bit about myself. I'm a fifth-year student in Communications and Political Science at the University of Ottawa. I'm passionate about environmental action and policy, and lately I've been working on living a more sustainable life. I often find myself browsing through resources and content related to sustainable living, especially during the pandemic, on social media. As I reflected on a research question for this study, I began to wonder where my use of social media and my journey to sustainable living intersected. As a consumer, I tended to engage in the environmentalist and sustainable living community on apps like Instagram, Pinterest, TikTok, looking for inspiration and learning from others. Was this helping me on my path to sustainability, or was it adding to the challenge? In the end, my research question asked, how does my social media consumption affect my choices as a consumer? Specifically, how does this affect the sustainability of my consumerism? I chose this question hoping to understand how following sustainable influencers or social media users who had achieved a sustainable lifestyle would affect my shopping choices. My hypothesis suggested that by engaging in these sustainable online communities, I would become more self-aware and more educated, learning from other sustainable consumers. This hypothesis was not fully proven, but I did see elements of it in my data analysis. I was also able to get a better picture of how university students perceive the global environmental crisis and the type of action it requires as a solution. In order to gather data and arrive at these conclusions, I followed the autoethnographic method and gathered data through field notes and writing prompts. My goal with this was to create a data set which was genuine, honest, and plentiful. Each time I had a field note or writing prompt to complete, I set up an environment that was comfortable and allowed myself 15 minutes to reflect and jot down any thoughts that had occurred to me. I tried not to filter my thoughts or emotions in this process. I treated them as journal entries, providing a snapshot of my life and my feelings during the time of writing. The next step was coding, organizing and analyzing the data to find connections and look for answers to my research question. First, I read through all my field notes and writing prompts, jotting down notes and observing the themes that emerged from the data. Of my list of themes, I narrowed it down to the 6 most important: feelings, environment, community, consumption, platform or medium, and self-reflection. Next, I began to code the document. Assigning a different color to each theme, I slowly scanned through each piece of data, highlighting keywords and phrases along the way. Once I had coded the words, I went through the process again for the images included in the dataset, taking note of any themes present. At this stage, I entered all the keywords and phrases into a Google Sheet, color-coded them once again by theme, as well as adding the frequency that each word or phrase appeared in the data. I then highlighted and color-coded words that were outliers in the data or that were duplicated. Finally, the data collection process was complete and I was ready to analyze. The analysis portion of this study showed me trends in the way I think about the environmental crisis we all face and my perception of sustainable consumption. My research led me to conclude that while there is no ethical consumption under capitalism, and the real path to sustainability isn't about buying better, but buying less and encouraging radical change away from the capitalist system. My study also found a direct link between the way that I think about environmental sustainability and social justice, and demonstrated that we cannot have one without the other. Overall, I was surprised and interested to see that there's somewhat of a contradiction between the way I act, engaging in social media groups and practicing sustainable consumption, and the feelings I expressed in my field notes, which were quite critical of the concept of green business. This autoethnography provided a personal understanding of my social media use as it relates to sustainable consumption, and the need for collective, radical change in the environmental crisis. At a broader level, this study shows us how Gen Z and millennials, the most prominent demographic on social media, can harness the power of social media and the internet to create radical change for the planet.